You ready, Mila? There we go. There she is. The girl you've been waiting for, Michaela Antoinette Claudette, the incredible, the amazing. All right. Without further ado, I thought that it would make everyone happy if I started today with my song. So for those of you who don't know, when I get it right, I am allotted by the universe 30 seconds of self-adoration. But I can't get more than 30 seconds, otherwise I would become an egomaniac, because I am an Aries with Leo rising, moon in Aquarius. All right, so without further ado, a 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3. I got it right, I got it right, I got it right. Ooh, ooh. Ooh, I got it right, I got it right, I got it right. Ooh, ooh. Okay, all right, enough about that. I got it right. So, what did I get right? Hello, everyone. What did Whimsy get right? She got a couple things right, but what she get right? She got Meghan and Harry. Yes, Meghan and Harry are moving to Canada to pursue a progressive agenda. The next thing you know, you're going to be seeing Harry in Birkenstocks and love beads, singing Kumbaya and teaching at your local community college. I really like Harry going into Harry's energy. I don't do the royals usually because I think all of it is nonsense, but so does Harry, and that is why he is one of the few royals that I will remote view. But yes, it looks like Harry and Meghan have fired the royal family. He just has to figure out how to earn a living. So I remote viewed that, and it looks like Harry may be going for his master's or a teaching certificate going forward, because he actually does not have enough education, even though he has a good education, to teach. But when I go into his energy, he keeps talking about wanting to teach and give back and share his education with people who are less fortunate. He's very progressive. Every time I've gone into Prince Harry's energy, he's talked about the common man and the plight of the common man, and he uses terms which we think of as European socialism. I was thinking about it last night when I was doing that remote, and I was thinking, I think Meghan Markle married her father. You know, I'm starting to think that maybe Harry and Meghan's father have a lot more in common than people realize. So anyway, they're moving to Canada. It's interesting. I did a remote on the Queen, and the Queen was very, very upset. This was 2-3 months ago. When did we do that remote on the Queen? Was it 4 months ago? And she didn't want them to leave, and she didn't want them to leave for the holidays, and she spoke to Charles and about them going into counseling, and then it came out that Harry was in counseling, and then blah, 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 blah. So the takeaway here is that remote viewing really does work, and you can learn how to do it yourself, and meditation is a powerful tool for developing empathy and compassion and a connection to others, and to be more conscientious of others and the feelings of others. In a society that teaches us to be closed off from others, it seems kind of woo-woo and magical, but the truth of the matter is it's something to be connected to one another and to be able to sense or feel the needs of another is actually very human. Anyway, so I wanted to do my little song and dance. And putting that aside now, let us meet and greet. We do this for about 2 minutes, and then we will commence with the coffee time. Yes, I'm enjoying more of Mark Rhodes' coffee. Mark Rhodes, San Francisco, thank you very much. Your coffee is amazing. He shipped me something like 3 pounds of gourmet coffee. I'm a happy girl. So thank you for that. I wanted to say hello to Teresa Hedarian. She was the first here, and she's sitting with her cat, as am I. AL, hello. Hello, Dallas. Hello, Teresa. Good to see you here. 2 kitties there. A lot of us have cats. Hello? Yes, hello. We started at 11 a.m. We're a couple minutes late because I was putting some lipstick on. Sorry about that. Impish Artist is here. Yes. Hello, Impish Artist. Pogo Code. Trump regarded in the future? There's an interesting idea. I think he's going to be kind of forgotten. He's not going to be a very popular president, I don't think, but we can look into it. Oh, there's a storm battering down? Eesh, sorry, Impish Artist. Hi, Joella. Hi, Dee Davis, Catherine the Elder. Good to see you. Patricia Clough is here. Hello, hello, hello. City Girl Rowe? Is that right? Catherine is, yes, we've said that. Elise McGregor, Susan Johnson, hello. Ina C, Pierre Walker, yes, I show gratitude and I greet people. It only takes a couple minutes. Donna Okanowski, Maggie, hello. Yes, Nancy Pelosi is signaling that she's about ready, which means that she thinks that the tide is going to turn. And this goes back to the remote where she was holding on to it until certain things were going to be released. So I assume certain things are going to be released. The other thing that came out in previous remotes, if you go back to the remote we did last year, it was I did a really long remote viewing. God, it was maybe 6 to 9 months ago on Robert Mueller, Putin. You can go back and check it out. But it looked like where the energy was headed was that just as Trump was being pulled out, it's almost like he would send a signal to Putin that he was being pulled out, like pushing the ripcord, bombing Iran. He's trying to get started they want peace negotiations, which will put Iran, Syria, and Russia at an advantage. We've talked about that. The purpose of all of this is to create a crisis whereby Putin can come in and take control of the situation. If Putin had his way, he would. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much from Corio. Yes, trees. Oh, before I get started on the remotes today, do I have permission from everybody who is donating to the trees if I could give the money to the Australian wildfire funds, the bushfire? That's where I want the money to go because the situation in Australia is pretty grim. So if that's okay with people, let me know. Anyway, so Putin is becoming more aggressive, which is as Trump is being pulled out. And the goal of Putin appears to be he wants to sit down at the table and renegotiate trade deals, trade routes, and he wants to renegotiate the new routes that he's developing with China. And specifically, as I had said in previous remotes, now it's old news. But it's cool when you do a remote because you can see the news 6 weeks early or 6 months early. But so basically now it's all swimming into place. But basically, the goal of Russia, the proposal of Russia, which is attractive to some people who are libertarians, is that America will withdraw from the Middle East. This is what Putin wants. And in agreement for withdrawing from the Middle East, Russia and China can go in and start building infrastructure. They're allied with Syria, and they're also allied with Iran. So this puts Putin in a position to be the peacemaker. He wants to be the peacemaker. He wants to go in with China, with Trump, if he can, with Europe, and negotiate peace in the Middle East in exchange for allowing them to move their infrastructure out. And instead of having American peacekeepers there, troops there, he wants to replace them with contractors. And right now, Putin is using a lot of contractors just for building roads and infrastructure in Africa, etc. And so from Putin's perspective, this is going to happen. Nothing is going to stop Putin. Nothing is going to stop China. If we're frightened about security, etc., then we can be part of these military these armies for hire, and that kind of goes into Eric Prince. So a lot of people were going to make a lot of money off of this, and that's where we're headed. If America agrees to this, then it would mean that we'd be pulling out of the Middle East, and that's the conundrum. That is what everybody is fighting about. That's what everybody's screaming about, is whether or not we can financially continue to be based all over the world, or whether or not we can agree to some kind of truce with China and Russia and a neutral army that they all collectively pay for. So that's what's going on there. Australia, yes. T-Barb, absolutely. I go through Charity Watch and different organizations like that, and they will list charities that are verifiable. So we get paid on the 21st, usually around the 22nd of the month. I donate whatever you guys give. We discuss it here and then we donate it. But there are some bushfire organizations that we can give to. But let me know if you know. I know that Lena Rodriguez listed a link, so I'll go ahead and check it out. I'll check out those charities as well. But that's probably where we're going to be, unless you all object, because it is your money. Oh, for the personal fund. Well, that's awfully nice. Thank you very much. Yeah, we use it to move to the Pacific Northwest. Australia, yes, absolutely. Australia. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you, Chantel Ruth. Thank you to Lefty's Night Right Witch. Ooh, I like that. Blessings to Australia. Yeah, let's help Australia, people. Okay, great. So what do y'all think about the latest stuff that's going? Love the hair. Your skin is glowing with that color. Oh, thank you. I try to glow as often as I can. Glowing is my middle name. Pelosi sending the articles of impeachment on Tuesday. Boy, won't it be fun to take a look at those cards? Yeah, I think she knows that the gig is up. I mean, it's all going to come out now what this is. See, I wonder if Putin could have gotten his way without all of this. I don't know. What do y'all think? What do you think about Meghan and Harry off to live in Canada? Those bloody liberals. They're liberals. They're progressive liberals. Off to pursue a progressive agenda. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Say no more, say no more. What do you think they were trying to say? It goes back to the remote view where I did a remote view last year with Harry. It was right before his wedding. And I said, well, what are you going to do with this wedding? And he said, well, the first order of business is that he's going to make a baby. He wanted to make a baby with her. And he said the second thing they wanted to do was to fight for the plight of the common man. I thought, ooh, this guy sounds really progressive. I kind of like this Harry. Then he talked about how hard it is for the working man to get ahead. I was like, what the heck have you been reading? You're very progressive. So, yes, I can't imagine that the prince would be the queen would be too happy about it. Well, thank you, Minka Flower Studio, for the donation. You're very sweet. Okay, let's get started, people. Let us have some fun here. There's too much seriousness. The worst that's going to happen is we're going to have to share, we're going to have new roots. Yes, Onus Taro, thank you for moderating as well. Yeah, it's time to have some liberals because Princess Diana was a liberal and she was dating a person of color from Pakistan who was working in nonprofit medicine, which is probably where a lot of these ideas come from, is probably because Diana was dating a lot of progressive socialist. Her last serious relationship, I think, before Dodi wasn't he from Pakistan? He was a heart surgeon who did free surgeries for needy children. I mean, so these ideas, so Harry grew up with these progressive ideas, his mother's liberal ideas. And then Dodi was her last partner. So yeah, she was dating people from all over the world and with all kinds of progressive and modern ideas about things. Yes, Meghan is wealthy and she's extremely frugal. And she's amassed $35 million. So actually, Harry will be living off of his wife. Probably when I go forward into it, he's probably going to go back to school. He's going to have to work on some kind of master's. He really wants to teach. It's like he's also going to be writing a book about his vision for the future. And he's very proactive about education in Africa. Education, he thinks that it's the stepping stone that's going to get the working man, the poor person out of poverty is education. It's the one thing he has that he can give back. This is his mindset. So, kumbaya to him. Good for him. You know, give him a pair of Birkenstocks and some love beads and send him to your local community college in Vancouver, Canada. He's going to be a happy boy. He can teach history or whatever. He'll probably have a really good time with it. All right, let's do the week ahead with the articles of impeachment, and then I'm here for about 45 minutes with all of you doing blitzes. A blitz, for those people who don't know, is a tarot card spread that lasts 5 minutes, and that way we can ask as many questions as we like. So the first one was Nancy Pelosi and the articles of impeachment. Let's do a simple prayer, kind of bring the community together. I want to call on white light protection for myself and my viewers as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us so that we can make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, for the planet, for the people we love, and to even help those we have strife with. And let us say, amen. Let's go in. What is going on with Nancy Pelosi and the articles of impeachment? D-Day, right? It feels that way, right? So basically, when you go into the energy on Iran and you go into the energy of Russia and you go into the energy of China, I see the same thing over and over again. And that is the wisdom that comes from being a very old nation. It was really interesting to remote view Iran because Iran is not a proxy. It's not like attacking ISIL or something like that. This is an established culture that goes back thousands of years. And I was amazed at how much sophistication there was when I went into the energy. This is a working society with banks and infrastructure and universities and I think that Trump doesn't realize what he got himself into. All right, where we are at right now, a victory is coming. You can see the Ace of Swords and something is being hung up. This is regarding going forward with the articles of impeachment and Nancy Pelosi's cards. So she feels that she is in a victorious situation after tears and that something, this is a power position. Hanged man is the ability to give something up or let something go that no longer serves us. Where she's at right now, the scholarship card, she's going over things. I think that what happened was when she was communicating with the military, it was right before the strike. She must have had a heads up that something was going on because she was meeting with members of the Pentagon and the military about spending, looking at how money was spending. She was already, it was her job to audit this stuff, and that was how she found out a lot of stuff. Smoother waters ahead. What is above her? Again, we keep seeing these offers coming. It's becoming more and more frequent that we get these Ace of Cups. What I like about it is that there's almost a feeling of compassion here. It's almost as if a part of Nancy Pelosi really does pray for this president and really does think he's mentally ill or something, because this is a feeling like offering somebody something who may not have the mental wherewithal. It's like offering free medical care. That's kind of how it looks. Waiting for her ship to come in. She's still waiting for something, but it's on its way. I keep seeing Britain. I keep seeing Britain when I think about this community. It's almost like she's awaiting an ally to come and deliver information. I feel she thinks that her relationship with this president and with this administration is she's basically washing her hands of it. It's almost like she's almost prepared to give everything over to the Senate and let the Senate finish the job. It's like my work here is done. She really handled herself well. The Queen of Cups, the Queen of Hearts gives an offer and then walks away. It's an offering of love. It's almost like I have done everything I was supposed to do. The evidence is there, and now the judgment is in the hands of the other, which I assume is the Senate. The hope and the fear. She's exhausted, and then the final outcome is that her wish will be granted. He needs to take this offer, because if he can resign before all this tension builds, these protests which are coming, he can avoid a trial. He needs to avoid a trial. That's the problem. He's trying to delay and avoid. No, the goods are coming out. Queen of Pentacles reveals that which is hidden. So basically, there's more coming out. It looks like there's more coming out from intelligence agencies outside the United States. I think it's Britain. I think she's waiting on more documents. I think that she's been meeting with the Pentagon and the military regarding missing funds. I think that she is going to walk away from this and hand everything over probably by next week, just because the cards that the Eight of Cups, which is to walk away, is in the near future. So I read that within a few days. So probably sometime next week, Monday or Tuesday, they'll probably get the articles. And it's beyond her at this point. Nobody can save the president because something is going to be revealed by next week that kind of seals the deal. That's the best way to describe that, because the Queen of Pentacles reveals money matters, but it's also revealing that which is, oh, hi, Marie, good to see you. It's also about revealing that which was hidden. So that is what we see. Somebody had asked how Trump's future would be remembered. Let's take a look at how Trump's, I think he's going to be remembered as a celebrity. What was it? He said he was a celebrity of reality TV show. All right. Why is Britain so important? Because Britain, when we went into the energy of Britain, every time we went in, I saw a pocket of energy. One of the meditations I do is I just imagine myself going over the globe and following energy, and I'm looking specifically for intelligence energy, any kind of tension. And when we did that 3-4 months ago, we went over Britain. And then when I sat in that energy, it was directed towards the Middle East, and they were specifically waiting for, it was a standstill. It felt like a standstill. And Britain has extremely good intelligence. So does Israel and Saudi Arabia. And there seemed to be some type of a holding pattern that was going on. But a lot of Cold War intelligence, a lot of intelligence that we were using regarding Russia was coming from Great Britain. So that's why I see them coming back again sometime next week. Hi, Mila. How are you? All right. How will Trump be remembered? If you do that, Mila, you're gonna get the water bottle. She's looking at the couch. She's always clawing up my couch. What is going on with his future? Well, I think he's very worried about his finances. There's a frugality card here, and there's also a lover's card, which can be an infidelity card also. It's not just about lovers and sacred contracts. If it's associated with something like a Four of Pentacles, which is a frugality card, it may suggest that his dealings with others has led to self-examination, but also poverty and frugality. I get the impression when I go into this energy that he's somebody who was willing to do business with just about anybody. Very angry. He's an angry person. He comes across as angry, vindictive, addictive, angry, vindictive, and addictive. You know, the devil is to have addiction. Mila, I said no. Please don't do that. I'm sorry, my cat. I'm going to get the water bottle. Sorry, it's my cat. Sorry, Mila's way of getting attention. What is above? Death and transformation. You know, this is somebody who, he lacks attention. 7 of Cups is almost like attention deficit disorder, constantly looking for something outside yourself. Addicted, angry. There's an opportunity for him at the end of his life to redeem himself to some extent, because the Death card comes in with the 6 of Wands. So there's still an opportunity for him to do some good with his life, but he's running out of time. There's a Wheel of Fortune card there, a Theft card. Ace of Swords, he'll be victorious in something. The Taurus coming out, the Truth is coming out. I think that the positive aspect of this, if there is going to be a positive aspect to any of this, it's that in the end, working out some kind of treaty or agreement to build new infrastructure in the Middle East and putting an end to these blockades by the Arabs and the manipulation of certain prices. These are the things that the world has gotten angry at. To some extent, he'll be remembered as the person that perhaps put an end to it, even if it was done in a way that was underhanded or there's a feeling here that this situation works itself out, and in the end, it seems to create a lot of profits, and the Middle East could make a lot more money if there was less violence. And so what Russia and China want to do is they want to stabilize the area, they want to increase the trade, and they want to control religious fanaticism because they see it as a threat to the economy of the region and the stability of the region. So those are some of the things that are going to be happening moving forward. And we're going to see a decline in power of the Gulf states, and that might not necessarily be a bad thing. So those are the things associated with him that will be positive. All right, interesting. So not all his name will become an expert. Hi, Michelle Taylor. Reality winner, I don't know. All right. Let us look at the future of... What are we doing here? We got through Trump. We got through Nancy Pelosi. Let me check the notes here. What else we're doing today? Thank you for the white light, Jazzy. Thank you, Chef. Very sweet of you to say that. So the Russians, let's go ahead and look at the Russian strategy. The fighter jet, or no, it was a boat. A boat came in, right? It was a Russian fighter ship. Yeah, it goes back to the remote we did. Remember last year where we'll know when Putin is leaving. We'll know when Trump is leaving because Putin will start to become more aggressive. As America pulls back, Putin pushes forward. I think Trump's on his way out. And I think that Russia will continue to be aggressive until they get some kind of a new treaty. Let's go ahead and look at Putin's cards then and the future of Russia. Who's going to be with Putin and the future of Russia? I'm curious about Putin's future. But I think of Trump as like the bright, shiny object because while we were all distracted by Trump, they were pushing forward, wheeling and dealing in the Middle East and Africa and bringing in proxy armies and changing the map and changing the roads. And we were all focused on Trump. And that was part of what I think the job of Trump was. Trump's job was to create chaos. And we were completely focused on like the cat with the string, completely focused. Meanwhile, they were completely redrawing the maps in the Middle East. And that's one of the reasons why I'm a little concerned if people focus too much on Trump. And as a remote viewer, when you pull back and you scan, you start seeing all this troop movements in Iraq. And I did a remote viewing a couple of days ago where I heard some commander say to the Iraqi military, well, you're on your own, we're leaving. And that was before the bombing. So that leads me to suspect that they had already planned on pulling troops out of Iraq before this happened. And it goes back to what Putin wants, what Syria wants, what Iran wants. Let's check on Russia. It's like we know we're going to leave, we know we're going to do this, but we have to play this power game because America can't afford it anymore. Just like we bankrupted the Soviet Union, they're trying to bankrupt us into a situation where we have to agree to this. Trapped. This is Putin, trapped, right? He couldn't get his trade out. We were blockading him. Saudi Arabia was sending fighters into Chechnya. His trade people were being ambushed. Convoys were being ambushed. I live on Fountain, what can I tell you? Devil card moves in, so there's a transformation of a situation where he's trapped. What's interesting about the Eight of Swords is that's precisely how Russia looks. It's as if we have blocked every road and he can't get anything out, and that's what's causing the anger and the frustration. And every time he gets a really great deal, like, yeah, I'll just create a new road and we'll open up trade with Libya, we will bomb and destroy the road. And so it's this constant war between us and Russia where we're blocking, and that is what has led to the current hostilities. But there's a transformation in the situation. Where Putin is in right now, he wants justice. It feels like this behavior by the United States is unlawful. This is something I keep hearing when I go into Putin's energy, that we can't stop him. We can't continue to do this because it violates certain laws and the judgment coming. So he feels that Russia and China have a legitimate argument, that the countries that he is aligned with have a legitimate argument, and that America's days of bullying and bankrupting other countries are over. So he is banking on the international community to come in and deal with this. That he's not the aggressor here, that we started it, kind of a feeling. He gets his wish. Right now, it's in the collapsing phase. You can see tower. There's a tower in his third house. This is a very delicate time to be negotiating stuff. I think NATO's going to come in. I think that G7 is going to come in. His attempts to try and be opening up trade are what this is about. And so the tower coming in the third house could be that he's concerned the entire thing is collapsing, but there's a 9 of Cups in his... he's looking for people who are like-minded, the Hierophant moving in with the 9 of Cups. He is looking for allies and people that agree with him. You don't have to like him. You don't have to get along with him. You don't have to be his friend. But his feeling is we need a working treaty because these blockades, these problems that we're creating for Russia and China need to come to an end. Defending his territory. His argument becomes a legal battle. Scholars, intellectuals discussing exchange of ideas, conflict. I don't see all-out war because the 9 of Cups is here with the Hierophant. I do see skirmishes here, 5 of Wands with a 7 of Wands to defend territory. This could be more hostilities and possibly more military action, but I think that we're going to start seeing people sitting down at the table. This could have been a lot worse. So there could be some skirmishes, but again, I think that I think they're going to start hiring people like Blackwater, to be honest with you. Well, thank you, Nancy. Very sweet of you. All right, so what else did we have here of the blitzes? Oh, I don't know. I'm not an astrologer. I'm sorry, Deanna. Is something special happening on Sunday? Putin behind Cuba's sonic attacks? I wouldn't be surprised. I did a reading on that a while ago, I think. I don't know, Deanna. She keeps asking that. I'm not an astrologer. Okay. Okay. You want me to check on Puerto Rico? Let's see. How will Puerto Rico do in the coming storms? How will Puerto Rico in the coming storms? I really like Puerto Rico. I did a remote viewing on them last year, and they were like, give us some rice and beans and we can make a party. It was really cool. I liked their zest for life. I haven't gone yet. I should go to Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is going through a period where it's going to have very strong women. The women of Puerto Rico are coming forward. 3 of Cups with a 5 of Cups. It's almost like the ladies come in and they start cleaning house. And when the boys were playing, the same thing is happening in the United States. The boys are playing, they're taking pocket money from foreign governments, they're cracking jokes because they can, because guys are always right and women are always wrong, and little tiny passive aggressive gaslighting, ha ha ha, what you gonna do, Nancy? That kind of behavior. And I think what's happening with women in politics is that they're just doing their work and plowing forward, and ignoring the little immature boys who want to continue to control everything. And, I'm not talking about good men like Adam Schiff. I'm talking about the dorks. There's a couple female dorks too, but 3 of Cups is strong female energy moving in for Puerto Rico, but still grief because there's still a lot of cleanup and they're still finding bodies. There are areas that are still being cleaned out that are covered in 15 feet of mud, and they're still finding bodies. They still have missing people that were pulled out to sea, or bodies that are being recovered, and that's something that's not making the press. 5 of Wands, conflicts about exchange of ideas. It just feels to me like the women are stepping up and pushing the guys out of the way. The old guard is changing, and they're very focused on making sure this doesn't happen again, the 3 of Wands. It goes back to what the mayor of Puerto Rico had said, the mayor of which city was that? She had said, get out of our way. It's that kind of a feeling, waiting for their ships to come in. The Star card, anger. It's an anger that motivates them towards change. And they are very determined to create strong relationships with other people in the region, other countries in the region that are having similar problems. So we could be seeing more communication between Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic, et cetera, where they're exchanging ideas about land preservation, going to conferences and working aggressively as a team to protect the land from these types of, from global warming, et cetera. And they're also being extremely frugal. You can see the 4 of Pentacles moving in. So they're completely overhauling their budget. They're very focused on this issue. They're creating partnerships with nearby countries and regions that are experiencing similar environmental changes, and they're just doing everything they can to protect themselves. But the fact that the 2 of Wands is here leads me to suggest that if the United States is not going to help Puerto Rico is going to have to find help elsewhere. Strong women. Look at this, Queen of Wands, boundaries, justice. This is I love this queen. This is my card. It's also Oshun in the Orisha tradition, in the yellow dress. I did it my way. Karma. Heartbreak. Just a feeling I get when I go into Puerto Rico's energy of just betrayal, like that America has treated them terribly. If you're going to take control of an area, you have a moral responsibility to take care of that area, and the United States has reneged its responsibilities to Puerto Rico. And also because of the type of laws governing Puerto Rico, they're limited in who they can ask help from. And so that is the bind that Puerto Rico finds itself in. It can't just go to and have an alliance with Cuba because it is a American territory. So the frustration for Puerto Rico is that because they are a territory of the United States, there's certain resources that America should have given them and has not, and that's the heartbreak. So this heartbreak, expectations about the alliance is something that's going to have to be healed. But it's going to be healed with the next administration. You can see a Two of Cups coming in. And this kind of justice prevailing, the Emperor card moving in, which is logic, the karma coming to an end of suffering, coming into their power in Two of Cups. This is a very proactive part of the world, and women are going to start really stepping up to the plate in Puerto Rican politics. And I think that they're focused, and there's a feeling of betrayal that America did not support them as much as it could have and should have. But that dynamic is going to be changing very soon. That's what I see. Thank you, Michelle. It's very sweet of you. Thank you, PJB. I love it too. PJB, peanut butter jam. Is that P and J is peanut butter and jelly? PJB, would that be peanut butter jam and I don't know. Any bombshells coming in on Sunday? Oh, let's take a look. Are there any bombshells coming? Let's find out about that. Let's find out if there's any bombshells and if that's why Pelosi's ready next week. Thank you, Melissa Montgomery. That's very sweet of you. I think we're giving to Australia this month, but we have given to Puerto Rico in the past. Oh, PJB are your initials. Very nice. Are there any bombshells coming out this Sunday before next week? And if so, what? What a good question. Is that not a good question? I love my job. Is this not the funnest job in the world, hanging out with you guys and doing readings? It's so much fun. What are the bombshells next week? I'm sorry, I know I'm not a royal watcher, but I'm just so happy for Harry and Meghan. I am just so happy that they are just letting their liberal flag fly. I didn't expect that. I thought it was going to be like a hush hush. All right, next week. Fear. That's the energy. When you go into next week, and you meditate on the energy of the Senate, and particularly the Republican Senate, you get fear. You get fear and grief that this whole thing is falling apart. It goes back to hearing Mitch McConnell. This was 2 years ago. 3 years ago, Mitch McConnell knew this. You would go into his energy and you would remote view him. You would do the abiding and anything you want to share, and he would keep repeating the same thing to anybody he was talking to. He cannot govern. The man cannot govern. He cannot govern. The man cannot govern. Okay, so if you know that. So in Mitch McConnell's wisdom, he said, great, if he can't govern, I'll govern. I'll be, for all intensive purposes, the president by hijacking the Senate and controlling the bills. And so basically, Mitch McConnell elected himself president. What's interesting about the energy coming in for next week, people are wondering about a bombshell Sunday. Something's coming because there's a feeling of grief or stress or loss from the Republicans, and a feeling that they are further tied in knots. So I don't think there's anything left for them to hold on to. The military strike, the fact that even in Congress they're starting to split away from him, does not bode well for the future of this president. New contracts coming, new evidence, new information coming out. There's a new scandal. Every day there's a scandal, but now there's a new scandal, and this scandal, it looks like war crimes or something very serious is coming, and it has to do with money. It has to do with some stolen money, some money missing or something like that. Grief and feeling tied up, the Republicans, McConnell, and being shown evidence of something, some type of there's the flim flam man. Money's being juggled around, and yeah, it's evidence of financial corruption, and it has to do with, and also something global's coming out. Boy, this is a lot of stuff coming out next week. Leaving a situation that places you in exile. I call it leaving the broken man, but 5 of Pentacles is to be exiled from the church. It goes back to the remote viewing we did on Lindsey Graham. Do you remember the remote viewing we did on Lindsey Graham, where I heard Lindsey Graham in the remote state say, I have lost all credibility with my colleagues, and this president has sowed the seeds of, what did he say? Basically that it had destroyed friendships that were decades old. That's what Lindsey Graham had said. That will never recover. And his relationship with the McCain family, his relationship with the Biden family. There's no love left between this party and this president. Walking away, a battle that cannot be won. Hopes and fears, Pelosi. Dang, is she powerful. And the final outcome, the karmic wheel plays itself out. The clarification, her and Schiff, more people are going to jail. There's possibly more prosecutions ahead and more people. Well, we know Flynn is going to get, he's facing up to 6 months. I think Stone is also probably, he handed over tapes, because when I did a remote on Stone, he had tapes. Yeah. So some of that's probably going to come out. Oh boy, drama. Oh, love and peace. Thank you very, very much. I was born on March 22nd. Thank you for that donation. And Catherine Bush, thank you for that donation. Very sweet of you. Yeah, isn't it weird? It's kind of nice that everybody here, like, who started in the beginning when it was a private chat or when it was just by invite. Thank you, Greeter. That's very sweet of you. What does it mean? Like, how does it work? I really like to believe that we have free choice and that the future, I discourage people from thinking that the future is etched in stone, because I really believe in empowering people and free choice. But the fact that Mueller, if you look at what Mueller was doing a year ago, 2 years ago, the science of it, it's almost like baking a cake for him. This is how you bake a cake. This is how you get a criminal. You start with some flour, you start with some sugar, then there's butter, and then there's vanilla. It's a very methodical scientific approach to the justice system, and it just plows along. And if it's done properly, the end result is a conviction. And I think the reason why, and this is something that Marcia Martin talked about, who we have on the channel occasionally. She's a therapist, and so I like to get her opinion as a therapist. And she helps people change all the time. I mean, that's her thing, is that she believes people can change. But I think that from her perspective, and I agree with her, so much damage had already been done. There was already, the crimes had already been committed. So I think that was why Trump couldn't turn it around, because he had already broken the law. He had already stolen an election. He had already taken the bribes. He had already laundered money. And so the future was inevitable, because inevitably it would be found out. Inevitably, everybody would be arrested. Inevitably, Mueller would get his man. Eventually, Stone would go to prison. Eventually, Flynn would go to prison. And that's just what happened. That's how it happened. Well, thank you, Greater TK. All right, we have time for the Mueller cake is almost baked. Yeah. Does everybody remember what Mueller wanted when we asked him? You think he's going to get it? He said he wanted he always wants the same thing, right? He's another one. You know, because I am such, my mind is all over the place. I could never be as, Nancy Pelosi, Robert Mueller, Mitch McConnell, Vladimir Putin, all are very different people, but they all share one thing in common as highly effective people, and that is that they're focused. Adam Schiff, focused. They don't get distracted. They don't chase after every bit of chaos. They know what they want. They're very determined to get what they want. And if it's Mitch McConnell, it's all about the courts. It's all about the courts. In Putin's case, it's all about the trade routes. So if there's anything I've learned from this experience, it's that being a focused person, you can be, and not letting yourself be bogged down by people's crazy. I can get distracted really, really easily. So I really appreciated learning that lesson by being asked to do these remote views. And also, Ruth Ginsburg is probably like that more than anybody. She just focuses on the work in front of her. It's about being present. That's the other thing I learned from doing remote viewings on these folks. They're very present in the here and now. They're not thinking about what could have been or should have been or what might be or what he's up to or she's up to. They're very focused on the here and now and what's in front of me. We have a goal. What do I got to do next? What do I got to do next? What do I got to do next? Thank you, Margaret Lloyd. Yes, that's a good idea. Thank you, Margaret. The animals. Let's also donate to the animals. Thank you, Catherine Bush. Okay. So in addition to donating to the trees, I think we're going to also donate to, because a lot of animals in Australia wound up displaced and are being fed. So we'll also give money to feed the animals in Australia. All right, we're going to go ahead and close. We have time for one more blitz because we started a little late. Does anybody have a last question before we close? Elaine Chow, I think we already, I think we read on Elaine Chow last week. And yeah, I think if you look at last week, you'll see the Elaine Chow. Rudy Giuliani's insurance. Yeah, let's look at Rudy Giuliani and then we'll go ahead and close. Did you have fun, everybody? Thank you. I like donating. It's fun. I get to fulfill my fantasies of being a wealthy philanthropist. I watched this documentary on this philanthropist. I can't remember. She was some wealthy New York philanthropist who used to donate to charity. And I thought, oh, I wish I could be somebody like that, to just donate. And so people come on the channel and they let Whimsy act out her fantasy. It's really cool. All right. What is Rudy Giuliani? I gotta find out. This is a really good question. What's going to happen with Rudy? What is Rudy Giuliani's future? Oh my God, I'm so curious. Rudy Giuliani's future, and what is his insurance policy? God, is this going to be interesting or what? Oh my God. He's got a ton of documentation. He knows where the money, he says, I know where the money's hid. He knows where the money's hid. The treasure trove, overseas. All the hidden money, all of the money schemes. It's the money. Part of what the guy knows. Oh my God. He knows all the schemes. He knows where all the money's hidden. He knows where, he has financial information. He was already talking to Mueller. It looks like he talked to Mueller about something. And I wonder if he's handing stuff over to Mueller. Look at this. Handing over a bunch of stuff, defending himself. There's Mueller's card. He's secretly going to be handing stuff over to the feds. And a lot of it has to do with showing them how the money schemes worked. Dang. And that's what's going to get him out of it. It's the money. It's not just tapes of boys doing naughty things. It's actually, look, the IRS, he put his people in, Trump put his people in the IRS to protect against this kind of exposure, but this is the exposure. Dang. So it's the offshore accounts, where they are, how they worked, how people were paid. Remember when I did a remote viewing a couple years ago where I was following the money and I was in a remote state and it looked like points of light coming off of a computer, and they were wire transfers? That was cryptocurrency. That was the money transfers. So that's, dang, that's huge. So that's what's coming out. Woo, so exciting. All right, thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming in. Thank you, everyone, for the donations to the Australia fires and to everything else we're donating to. I guess we're going to donate to also help the animals. I'm really worried about the animals in Australia. I feel so bad about that. And I'm worried, of course, about my beloveds in Australia. I hope they're all safe and good and doing okay. Elaine Chow is somebody, we did a remote viewing on her last week, who was born a princess and thinks that she doesn't have to answer questions like everybody else. Oh, you want the donation to go to me? Thank you. In that case, it will go to pay taxes. If you just give it to me. I owe a lot of taxes this year. But that's okay. All right, are we done? Oh, I have a competition. You get to ask a free you get a free question answered, a private question. I got to decide where in the world I'm going to live. Here's what I want. I want to live in a place that has really good public transportation, because I don't drive. So I can get an Uber or a public bus. It has to not have too many people in it because I'm an empath and I can't be around loud noise, which is one of the reasons LA's got great weather, but it's just too many people, and I can't handle it. I'm thinking about Portland, Oregon, but Portland, Oregon's getting too big. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest. Seattle is, so it has to be affordable, good transportation, bookstores, libraries. See, everything's leaning towards Portland, Oregon. I think it's going to be Portland, Oregon. My second choice was Eugene. My third choice is Seattle, Washington, which is really, really large. I did go to University of Washington in Bastyr Medical School. So I know the area. My mom had a house in Seattle. I don't know. And then part of me thinks I should just go somewhere that's a red state or a purple state where the land is cheap. You know, I was thinking about Olympia, Washington. Nashville, Tennessee. Yeah, but is it expensive? I'm looking for cheap rent because I'm trying to save so that I have a retirement, my student loans come due, and also maybe buy a home. I'm trying to live frugally. Okay. London, Ontario. There is a place in North Ontario. Santa Fe. I was thinking about Santa Fe. But some of those places are expensive. Does Chico have good public? Redmond, Oregon. Asheville, North Carolina. It has to have good public transportation. Like the buses will show up on time. Ashland, Oregon. But aren't these places expensive? Roseville, California. Do they have a bus line? It would be great if I didn't have to leave California because I'm licensed as a doctor in California, so I wouldn't have to go and get another license from another state. I would love to go to Canada. I spent a lot of time in Canada. I grew up on the Canadian border. I did look into that, and I looked in Vancouver, and boy, the rents are worse in Vancouver than in Seattle. And then if you go to a small town, you don't have bus transportation. I love New Orleans. My older sister was born in New Orleans. Love, love, love New Orleans. Yeah, California's expensive and Oregon's very expensive. I want to start my life all over again. All right. Thanks, love and light to you all. Thanks for giving. Texas is cheap and it is a purple state. That might be good. Vancouver, Washington. Do they have buses? I just want to go somewhere. I want to go to a place where there's nice, friendly people, bookstores, you know, the kind of place where you can sit in a bookstore and hear the espresso machine going off, you know, like Powell Books in Portland, Oregon. That's what I want. I want to win the lottery too. But y'all know what I would do. I would pay off my student loans. I would get a nice little cottage for Mila and me, and then I would give the rest to charity. But I would have to give it away individually so that I could, you know, celebrate every time something good happens. Buffalo, New York is cold. Bath, I don't know where Bath is. Washington, D.C., a lot of people have told me that I would love Washington, D.C., and that I would have a lot of work because I know somebody that works out there, and evidently politicians love card readings. I don't know. I guess they're addicted to them. I don't know. I guess readers do really well in D.C. Giving, if I won the lottery, that would be my new job. Yeah, right? This is like a giving community. We're empaths. You know, we're broke aristocrats. We want good coffee, simple living, and travel. The main thing I spend my money on is I want to see the world. Yeah. All right, I'll let everyone go. I don't want to sit here and waste people's time talking about my travel plans, but North Carolina, Charleston, North Carolina, that is home of the oldest Torah scroll. The oldest Torah scroll in the United States is in North Carolina, and it was brought by Portuguese Jewish people in like the 16th century or 17th. It was very, very early on, and it's on deerskin at the synagogue in Charleston. Florida, don't you? I'm worried about the hurricanes in Florida. What happened to Australia? It was really expensive, and I had kind of a meltdown when I looked at my finances and I really wanted to do it, and I had like a emotional meltdown when I looked at everything that was happening. And then after I had the emotional meltdown, it dawned on me, the universe is trying to tell me that I probably shouldn't do this right now. If I win the lottery, then I would seriously think about it. All right, goodbye, everyone. If you're still trying to get in for a reading, please reach out to me, Tarot with Whimsy.com. You can schedule a reading, or you can call at the offices if you need to call, usually, or text. The best thing to do is to text if you're trying to make an appointment. I think that's all I have for you today. Boy, isn't it fun watching this whole thing? What am I going to do when it's all over? Are you guys going to have more work for me? I don't know. Wisconsin, I've heard, is great, but it's very cold. Virginia Beach is also very good, I hear. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time. Love and light. Bye.